ARMY PANICS AS album and tour appear side by side. IS BTS about TO do the unthinkable with Jungkook at the center. What if BTS is no longer interested in playing safe? What if the rules that once defined their comeback strategy are now being deliberately broken in front of millions of eyes? And what if the clearest warning sign was not a teaser video, not a press conference, not even a leaked schedule, but two words placed next to each other in cold, undeniable clarity: album and tour? In the early hours of January 3rd, 2026, a single post ignited chaos across the global ARMY timeline. Shared by the trusted account at Chartsdalic, the announcement was deceptively simple. A link, a short caption, 3 words that hit harder than any teaser trailer: BTS is coming. Within minutes, the link to the newly launched official site, 2026bts.com, spread like wildfire, pulling fans into a space that felt less like a website and more like a warning. The design was minimal, almost aggressive in its restraint. A striking red visual, a digital countdown ticking mercilessly forward, and then the detail that changed everything: album,
tour.
Presented together, equally sized, equally emphasized, sharing the same visual breath as if they had always belonged side by side. For veteran ARMY, this was not normal. This was not just unusual. This was alarming. For more than a decade, BTS has followed a carefully engineered comeback formula. Albums came first, supported by weeks of performances, interviews, chart runs, and cultural conversation. Tours followed later, strategically announced once the music had fully settled into the global bloodstream. This wasn't just tradition. It was survival. It was how BTS avoided burnout, controlled narrative timing, and maximized global impact. Why now does it look like that formula has been abandoned without explanation? As fans stared at the countdown, which pointed toward late March 2026, roughly 76 days from the site's launch, questions exploded faster than answers. Was this a mistake? A placeholder? Or was BTS quietly signaling that their 2026 return would not be a comeback in the traditional sense, but a full-scale invasion? The reactions on X were immediate and unfiltered. Shock. Screams. Panic disguised as humor. One fan asked the question everyone was afraid to say out loud: "There's no way they're going on tour on the day of the comeback, right?" Another simply wrote, "It's real now," as if something abstract had suddenly crossed into reality. This wasn't just excitement. This was fear mixed with anticipation. Because ARMY understands something casual observers often miss. BTS never does anything by accident. And then, almost inevitably, the conversation shifted toward one name: Jungkook. And the post-military landscape of 2025. Jungkook did not simply return. He re-entered the global stage as a fully formed cultural force. His solo achievements, streaming dominance, and cross-market appeal positioned him uniquely within the group. For many outside observers, Jungkook had become the most recognizable BTS member to the general public, particularly in Western markets. For industry insiders, this made him something else entirely: a strategic weapon. This is why so many fans believe Jungkook is not just part of BTS 2026, but the key to understanding it. Speculation began to spiral almost immediately. What if Jungkook is being positioned as the opening signal of a new BTS era? What if the reason album and tour appear together is because the comeback itself is designed to be live, immediate, and global? What if there is no long promotional runway this time because BTS doesn't want one? The theory sounds extreme, yet it aligns uncomfortably well with BTS's history. Time and time again, they have shattered expectations by doing what the industry said was impossible. Stadium tours once reserved for Western legacy acts. Billboard dominance in a language the charts were never built to accommodate. A voluntary pause at the peak of global power to fulfill military duty, followed not by decline, but by anticipation. Now, the possibility that BTS could announce a world tour on the same day as their album release no longer sounds unrealistic. It sounds intentional. Some fans believe the countdown leads not just to an album drop, but to a live global performance. A moment where BTS does not ease back into the spotlight, but detonates it. Imagine the scenario being whispered across fan spaces. The album releases. The countdown hits 0. A live broadcast begins. Jungkook steps forward as center. The first performance of the new era happens not weeks later, not on a music show, but instantly, watched by millions across continents. And then, without pause, the tour begins. If that happens, it would obliterate traditional promotional timelines. It would turn the album into an event rather than a product. It would force global media, streaming platforms, and touring infrastructure to react in real time. Only BTS could attempt something like this, and only now, after everything they have survived, would they choose to. The visual language of the site reinforces this interpretation. There is no elaborate storytelling, no cryptic lore, no multi-layered puzzle. There is only urgency, a clock, 2 words, a date. This is not an invitation. It is a countdown. Jungkook's role in this potential strategy feels increasingly deliberate. He has long been known among fans as the member most likely to accidentally reveal future plans through subtle behavior. A song choice, a timing coincidence, an ambiguous comment. ARMY has learned to read these signals not as accidents, but as controlled leaks designed to prepare the audience emotionally. With album and tour presented as equals, the message feels unmistakable. BTS is not warming up. BTS is moving fast. Another theory pushing ARMY panic into overdrive suggests something even more radical. What if the tour doesn't start after the album, but with it? What if the first tour date is the comeback day itself? What if the album release is not the beginning of the era, but the first stop of the tour? If that is true, then BTS is not just returning. They are rewriting the mechanics of a global comeback. The emotional weight of this moment cannot be overstated. BTS's last full group album, Proof, released in 2022, carried the quiet gravity of a pause without saying goodbye. Since then, fans have lived through years of separation, solo journeys, military updates, and unanswered questions. The 2026 return is not just another era. It is a reunion loaded with memory, sacrifice, and expectation. BY visually binding album and tour together, BTS may be signaling that music and connection will no longer be separated. The songs and the meeting will happen as one. Financial anxiety among fans has already surfaced, another indicator that ARMY believes a tour announcement is imminent. Jokes about saving money barely conceal real concern. This is not the behavior of a fandom expecting a slow rollout. This is the reaction of a fandom bracing for immediate impact. Industry observers are watching closely. A simultaneous album and tour announcement would disrupt booking calendars, streaming strategies, award timelines, and promotional partnerships worldwide. It would compress cycles that were never designed to be compressed. But if any act has the leverage to force the industry to adapt, it is BTS. And at the center of that force, many believe, stands Jungkook, not as a replacement for the group, not as a solo distraction, but as the spark that ensures the world looks up at the exact moment BTS returns. As the countdown continues to tick toward March 2026, the questions refuse to fade. Is BTS preparing the most aggressive comeback strategy in K-pop history? Is Jungkook the key to collapsing the gap between album and tour into a single global moment? Or is this only the first misdirection in a plan even bigger than ARMY can currently imagine? One thing is already certain. BTS is not coming back quietly. They are coming back with urgency, confidence, and a willingness to break their own rules. And when that countdown reaches 0, the world may realize too late that history has already begun moving. As the hours pass and the countdown on 2026 BTS.com continues its relentless march towards 0, a deeper unease settles into the global fandom. This is no longer just speculation fueled by excitement. This feels like anticipation sharpened by instinct. ARMY has been here before, standing at the edge of a BTS moment that later rewrote industry logic. The difference now is scale, speed, and silence. BTS has not clarified anything. And that silence is deafening. No follow-up statement.
No correction.
No attempt to calm the growing theory that album and tour are intentionally bound together. In the past, HYB and BTS were quick to separate misunderstandings when speculation ran too far. This time there's nothing. Just the clock. Just the red typography. Just the implication that whatever is coming cannot be softened by explanation. Why would BTS choose this path now, after years of carefully pacing their global presence? The answer many fans arrive at is unsettling but powerful. Because they can. The post-military era of BTS is fundamentally different from any phase that came before it. This is not a group fighting for recognition, nor a group maintaining momentum. This is a group returning with nothing left to prove. Their legacy is secured. Their audience is global and loyal. Their absence did not weaken demand. It amplified it. In that context, the traditional comeback model begins to look inefficient. Why spend months rebuilding anticipation when anticipation has been accumulating for years? Why drip feed content when a single moment could dominate global attention across music, media, and culture simultaneously? Why delay the tour when the hunger to see BTS together again is already at a breaking point? These are the questions that frame the current panic not as hysteria, but as logic. And once again, Jungkook's name becomes impossible to separate from the answer. Among all 7 members, Jungkook occupies a unique psychological space in the public imagination. He is familiar even to casual listeners. His voice has crossed into mainstream playlists far beyond K-pop circles. His image carries youth, intensity, and emotional accessibility in equal measure. In marketing terms, he lowers the barrier of entry without diluting the brand. If BTS wanted to announce a tour the same day as an album, they would need a face that immediately commands attention across markets that do not follow group dynamics closely. Jungkook does that instinctively. This does not mean BTS is becoming Jungkook-centric. It means BTS understands how the world consumes narratives in 2026. One focal point draws the gaze. The full picture follows. Some fans have begun to speculate that Jungkook may open the era with a performance that blends solo identity with group return. Not as a separation, but as a transition. A bridge between the BTS that existed before military service and the BTS that emerges after it. A symbolic handover from individual journeys back into collective power. If that happens, it would explain the aggressive confidence of the album and tour alignment. It would also explain why the site feels stripped of comfort. There is no nostalgia here.
No callbacks.
No sentimental easing back into familiar ground. This is forward-facing, almost confrontational. BTS 2026 does not ask, "Did you miss us?" It asks, "Are you ready?" Another layer fueling ARMY's unease is timing. Late March is not a neutral choice. It places BTS at the very beginning of the global touring and festival season. It positions them to dominate charts, headlines, and social conversation before summer releases crowd the field. If a tour is announced immediately, it forces every other major act to adjust their plans around BTS's gravitational pull. That kind of disruption is not accidental. It is strategic dominance, and yet, BTS has not said a word. This silence has transformed every past Jungkook moment into potential evidence. Fans revisit clips, interviews, live streams, searching for what they might have missed. Was that smile too knowing? That pause too deliberate? That song choice too perfectly timed? Jungkook's reputation for accidental spoilers now feels less like a joke and more like a pattern. When fans recall how often BTS has used misdirection to amplify impact, the current strategy becomes clearer. The more ARMY speculates, the more emotionally invested they become. The more emotionally invested they become, the more explosive the reveal will be. This is not chaos. This is controlled tension. The industry, meanwhile, watches quietly. A simultaneous album and tour announcement would challenge the entire release ecosystem. Streaming platforms would have to handle immediate surges. Ticketing systems would face unprecedented demand. Media outlets would scramble to cover music, touring, and cultural impact all at once. Only BTS could create a moment so dense that it collapses categories, and that density may be the point. The post-proof era has taught BTS something invaluable. They no longer need to space out their presence to remain relevant. Their relevance is constant. What they need now is intensity. A moment that feels historic not because it is large, but because it is decisive. Album and tour, side by side, says one thing clearly. BTS does not plan to ease back into the world. They plan to take it all at once. As the countdown ticks lower, The panic among ARMY shifts from disbelief to preparation. Fans talk less about if and more about how.